It's time to have a frank and honest discussion on Adobe Camera Raw preferences. Now, I am going to raise my hand and be the first to admit something to you. A frank and honest discussion about preferences in any program is probably got to be the most boring thing on the entire planet. But understand the correlation here between your workflow, how you do things, your fingerprint, your stamp on what you do, and efficiency with an application is based on preferences. You set preferences up based on how you work, which makes the program unique to you. Now, you may not have used this program long enough to establish a workflow, but once you do, guess what? You'll know what to do. Now, the good news is we get two different ways to access ACR preferences. One is through Bridge, and that's where we're going. So, we set Bridge up in the previous chapter. I want you to open Bridge up. It does not matter what you have in here. If you're in Windows, go up to the word Edit. If you're on a Mac, go to Adobe Bridge CC and go down to Camera Raw Preferences. Go ahead and click that button. Well, there they are. Now understand, there's not a lot of them, but they're important to your workflow. Number one, save image settings in Sidecar. Well, Sidecar like a sidecar on a motorcycle, which is actually a good analogy. Or Camera Raw Database. Now this depends on how you work, so let me explain this. The XMP sidecar is a separate file. Let's say we have a file in a folder, one raw image. I work on Nikon, so the extension would be NEF, and let's call it 1234.NEF. So I open that, and I begin working in ACR, and do my thing, do my magic, make it good, make it bad, whatever. When I save the file, and I get out of ACR, let's say I close all my programs down and go into the actual folder where the file is, and I see two things now. One is 1234.NEF, and the other one is 1234.XMP. Now here is the absolute beauty of working on raw images. I don't care what you do to that image. I don't care if you make it the best thing in the world or the worst thing in the world. You do not damage the NEF. All the changes to the image are done in the XMP file, the sidecar. So what's the Camera Raw database? The exact same thing, except Adobe holds that information in a separate area. The thing of it is your workflow again. For example, I use Sidecar. After you get done doing something, if you go to folders and you begin moving files around, if you move the XMP file along with the original NEF or RAW or whatever the extension is, then that file and the changes go along with each other. If you choose this one here, which is fine, but you then go outside of the program and move the file, since this is a set place, it doesn't remember where it is, and you lose all your changes. There are ways to move files within the program itself and use Camera Raw Database. I use this one. I think that's the smart one. Just up to you. But I use XMP files. That's why I do. Now, apply sharpening to preview images only or all. I like to do my own sharpening. Remember, all this is temporary anyway. It's not permanent, but I like to do previews. I don't do all. It makes the program a little bit more efficient too. Default image settings. Apply auto tone adjustments. If you want Camera Raw to always determine the tone adjustments, again, they're temporary, you can change them. You select Apply Auto Tone Adjustments. But if you often do something called exposure bracketing, turn that one off. You don't want it on. Now, I talk more about that in our title on Photoshop for photographers. Apply Auto Grayscale. I like that one. I think ACR does a really good job if I'm going into grayscale. Again, if I don't like it, I can change it, but I like what they do, so I leave that on. Make defaults specific to the camera, the serial number, or the ISO. ISO is speed. Those are cool when you think about them. I have more than one camera. I've got a D2X and a D3, and I've got a D70, which is an older Nikon camera. They're all Nikons, but that's fine. Each one has a serial number. That means when I open an image in ACR, it knows the camera that brought it in. Now, all cameras have their own little idiosyncrasies. I can say to the system, if you see this image from this camera, do this to it first to get it ready for me. Now, for ISO, that's the speed of the film. If you do a lot of night photography, you're setting your ISO up really high to get those sensitive ratings. But it does something to luminance, and you probably have certain things you do to every image that say at ISO 800 before you get started. You could actually set that up. Now, if you turn these on, this is step one in a process. What does this do? I mean, what does it mean? Set defaults. Where are the defaults? How does it know about this? We're going to talk about this in another lesson, but understand, once you set it up here, you start here. You then go into ACR, open up an image on the camera with the serial number or on a camera with the ISO, make those default settings, and then say save it. I'll show you how to do that later, but this is where we get started. We turn it on here, and then we have to go in the program and set it up. I do like that feature, and I do use it. Now, camera raw cache. The maximum size is 2 gigabytes. I set that at about 4. It just speeds up the system. Most of us have a lot of space on our hard drives, so I double that number. But what exactly is the cache? It's a place where it stores thumbnails and images as we change things. And since it already has them, it makes things go faster when we're working in ACR. But things can happen, glitches can happen, things can go wonky. Every once in a while, if you purge the cache, and I don't mean like every other day, it throws everything away and starts all from scratch, which means at the beginning, when you reopen ACR or open up Bridge, things start going a little bit slow until it catches up. But if you're having problems and you can't quite figure out what's going on, you might want to purge it. Now, you can put it someplace else if you want to, but if you're going to put it on another hard drive, make sure it's a fast one. Now, DNG, digital negative, I really do like this one. Understand that the NEF format, that's the proprietary RAW format for Nikon. RAW is the proprietary format for Canon. They all have their own. Adobe ACR doesn't make the RAW. The camera does. So the camera is responsible, or the manufacturer is responsible for making the formula that makes RAW. They give the information to Adobe. Adobe puts it into the Camera Raw plugin. We can open the image. Have you ever had this happen? You double-click on a RAW image to open it. RAW says, I can't. Don't understand the image. So you go out to the Adobe site and you download the latest edition of the RAW plugin. It's free, and then, well, you can do it. We are held hostage to the fact that the company that made the camera has to make sure Adobe has the information. What if 10 or 15 years down the road, you've got these images saved, say, on a hard drive, and Adobe decides that RAW plugin format is so old, we're just not going to support it anymore, and you can't open up your images. DNGs is a format created by Adobe that allows me to save RAW images no matter what they are originally, save all the information, and Adobe guarantees it will always use this format and always allow me to open them. Now, do you want to ignore the sidecar XMP files? Understand that some applications, rather than writing to the DNG, will place that metadata in a sidecar file. If you then use some other product that doesn't write XMP to the file, you end up with metadata collision. That's what I call it. The problem is which one contains the correct metadata about the image. The Ignore Sidecar XMP allows you to tell Camera Raw to ignore any DNG sidecar files and only pay attention to the embedded XMP metadata. I would recommend you turn that one on. Now, update embedded JPEG previews. That's just a preview. Okay, that's all that is. It's what you see when you're working on its preview. If you turn that on, I like to use full size. Now, I do have a lot of hard drive space. I haven't had a problem, so I do turn that one on, but that's why I do. Now, the last two, JPEG and TIFF handling. JPEG automatically open JPEGs with settings, automatically open TIFFs with settings. All three are the same. Either say disable, automatically open JPEGs with settings, or automatically open all supported JPEGs or TIFFs. You have those three. Now, the defaults are automatically open JPEGs with settings. If you are working in a workflow that includes Lightroom, be sure that automatically open JPEGs or TIFFs with settings option is selected. That enables you to have a workflow back and forth between Lightroom and Camera Raw. Boom, back forth. So you want to leave it the way it is if that's what you're doing. In addition, you've got the one here that says automatically open all supported JPEGs. If you've installed any third-party camera software for the handling of RAW files, the camera company software actually can cause a conflict with the Camera Raw's ability to access the files. This option tells Photoshop and Camera Raw to ignore the other plugins and use only Camera Raw for supported RAW files. If you turn it off, disable, then you can't open these images in Camera Raw, and that might be actually surprising to some people. I thought Camera Raw, Andy, was only for RAW images. A JPEG is not a RAW image, and a TIFF is not a RAW image. True, but you can open them in Camera Raw. For what purpose? Camera Raw has some settings. that are actually really neat to work with before you get to Photoshop. But if you don't want to open them in RAW, you can disable that right here. In my opinion, these features, these preferences are related to your particular workflow. You set them up based on the way you work, and then you go for it. They'll give you efficiency, they'll make your job a whole lot better and make things run smoother. Camera RAW preferences.